for everybody out there, Craig, I'm going to let you explain the clip I'm about to play. You know what this is already. This is not made up as far as I know. This is legit. This is a bunch of pissed off games journalists after this whole incident with Kotaku. It's like 2016 with Trump all over again.
It's amazing.
Well, that's a religious cult. And there's nothing else you can say. You
this is real, folks.
Yeah. So can I explain this?
You gathered in unison for synchronized screaming into the heavens. That's a religious cult.
Explain this, Craig.
Okay, so over the last few months since 2024 started, it has been a bloody year in the games industry. There have been developer jobs cut all across the board. I mean, thousands of people have lost their jobs. And then couple that with the sweet baby stuff and how these people like literally live in bubbles. The Game Developers Conference was this past week, and one developer put out on a Facebook post, "Hey, I want to make an event called GD Scream, and we want to do it outside of the convention hall," which is what you see there. And he kind of put it out there as a joke, like, things aren't really good, so I just want to go set up this thing. But people took it seriously, and then they had over 50 people show up, and they're literally like, it's old man scream at cloud. This
is a major game developers conference, right?
Yes. This is literally the Game Developers Conference in San Francisco. Thousands of people go here.
In San Francisco. I'm glad you said that part.
Yes.
Thank you. That should explain a lot of this.
And
there's not enough crap on the ground, though.
Yes, what they did is they had to move around all the homeless people in Needles to make this happen. But what's amazing about this is pointed out by Grummz, and he's right. These people here that you see on screen, this is the infection that you've seen in the gaming space. There are thousands of just regular game developers who don't care about any of this stuff. They just want to make good games. But it's these people who are so upset, mostly white, liberal women.
Yep.
There's a lot of estrogen there.
Who feel the need to wear masks in a beautiful day, beautiful daylight, You
can never be too safe to stop vitamin D from pouring in your skin.
Great point. I'm glad you pointed that out. But these are the people that have infected the industry who are making these changes. But a lot of people point to these people as loony bins. Look, they are. These people are insane. The problem isn't them. Well, yes, it is. They're a major problem. The problem is that everybody who doesn't say anything to them and being like, "Yo, do you think this is a good idea to just be screaming out loud? Do you think the optics of that is really good? Hey, how about we reel this in, guys? Because we look really, really dumb right about now." It's amazing. It's amazing. And everybody who doesn't say something to their HR and says, "Yeah, I'm okay with all this." Like, that's the problem. Like, people in the industry need to grow a spine because they know this is stupid. They know they look bad, but they're not saying anything about it. Or at least they're not saying anything about it publicly, because I put this out on a tweet the other day. I get messages all the time from people in the industry who silently, "Hey man, love what you're doing. Love what you got going on. I totally stand with you. I just can't say anything." Grow a sack, grow up. You will land on your feet. I promise you'll land on your feet.
The same people inside the entertainment industry doing the same kind of jobs, especially those that have been around for a long time at places like Disney, have the exact same fear. And they're living in the same fear every day. Disney has its Reimagine Tomorrow program that terrorizes a lot of their employees into, hey, you're either going to get brainwashed or you won't be working here anymore. And a lot of people just move on, or a lot of people sit quietly at their desks and let a bunch of younger kids that Disney has hired off of Tumblr to be animators for Disney.
Wait,
True story.
I don't. What is the Reimagine? Like, that sounds very culty.
It is.
Like, what is this?
Welcome to our world, sir.
Yeah, Reimagine Tomorrow is Disney's official diversity, equity, and inclusion program at the Walt Disney Company. We've been covering it for a couple of years.
You get Kool-Aid at the end of it, and then you just end up dying and commit suicide.
With whipped cream in the shape of mouse ears.
Yeah. But the point is, it's not the gaming industry is the new battlefront right now, whereas this has been building up in the entertainment industry for a while. The audience watching us is very familiar with this. We've never really talked about it from the gaming side because I don't know the gaming industry that well. I've been a gamer since I was like 7 years old, but I didn't keep up with it. The older I got, like me playing Fortnite right now with my 12-year-old is about as much gaming as I've done in forever, apart from Final Fantasy releases. I don't really stay into it that much. And I didn't really know the industry, but I'm seeing now that the same woke mind virus, as it's typically referred to, that has been polluting Hollywood for so many years it's obviously taken a hold of the gaming industry in the last few years. I don't know which one came first, but it seems like this whole gaming issue is a little bit newer than what we've seen in Hollywood. I think it bled from one to the other for the reasons you said, Craig, is that the amount of revenue and the number of kids that just stay glued in front of games is bigger than movies and television.
Right.
So that's a big part. They want to go where they can corrupt the most minds.
Well, I'll say this: the gaming industry. I started in 2006. I started making videos on before YouTube existed. Right. I've been doing this for so long. I more or less figured out. I wrote the book on how to make a living online long before YouTube had a partner program and all that stuff. So I've seen the quote glory days of gaming. Right, all the way from my youth to my start of my career, all the way up through the mid 2000s, and I left the industry in 2022 or so, something like, no, 2000. Anyways, I left the industry after 15, 16 years, and I left it for a year. And I went to go work for a firearms company because it was so drastically different from what I was doing. I got recruited to go there, and I did that for a year, and I didn't pay attention to video games at all. While I was like, I'm out. I don't want anything to do with video games. I'm done. So I left the firearms company after a year, right? Just didn't line up. No big deal. Happens all the time. And then I looked back at the video game space and I was like, this place is insane. And that was literally the reason why I started Side Scrollers, was because I looked around and was like, this place, the video game industry has gone beyond wacko. And it was going wacko, but it just, if you look at it from the start to where it's at right now, it's not even close to recognizable. And that is why, like, what I saw and what I've seen my entire career, I've done live events. I've done, live streams before there were live streams. I've done, done all this stuff. I see normal people. That's who I've seen. That's who I've always seen. I've seen people. And then there was the slow creep, and the creep had the loudest voice. My audience is the 80% who doesn't think over here and doesn't think over here, but is labeled over here by this 10% over here, right?
They're the sensible center is what you're talking about.
Right.
Yep.
And people are going to say I said right, like right. but that's the thing, is I've always been fairly centrist, right? I would say I lean I would say I lean conservative from a financial standpoint. And I would say on social issues, I lean pretty center left, right? I mean, I'm kind of like, you do you, right? Until you mess with kids. And I think that's how most people are. Most people. And until...
Well, you sound like an extremist to me now. I'm convinced.
Oh, yeah.
I'm convinced of this.
I know. Until you attack kids or things that I love.
Well, Craig, let me demonstrate how wrong these idiot screamers are, okay? Because this is actually biologically wrong, which is amazing. Craig, be my test subject for just a moment.
Please,
I
yes.
want you to pretend that you are at a random park that you know. Okay. You have a young family member. I don't know if you have kids or nephews or nieces or any of that. Okay. If you've got one of those young family members who's 5 years old, and you come across a group of people screaming to the sky, about 50 of them in unison, what do you do with your young family member?
I'm glad you asked that, because I actually had to have that conversation with one of my daughters not too long ago. I explained to them that there are people who have mental issues, and that some people are not all there. And I had to have that conversation as delicately as possible, and that some people need help, and that we should have empathy for them, while not, I'd say, well, we have to have, like, more than anything, I feel sorry for these people because they are broken. They have been broken.
Sure.
And that's the saddest thing about this is I honestly feel sorry for them, because those people that were screaming, they're in such a bubble.
Mm-hmm.
Like, these people are developing out of San Francisco. They're developing out of LA. They're developing out of New York, and these giant bubbles. They don't see the flyover states. They don't see Bakersfield, California, or St. Louis, Missouri. They don't see these places that have just normal people in them.
I'd bust them to Oklahoma, but I'm afraid the Oklahomans would be very angry at me.
Well, that's the same issue the entertainment industry has been having, and the conference, once again, where these people were screaming that Craig was talking about here. That's what's on the screen right now. These are actually pictures that were taken at the Game Developers Conference, the same place where you just saw 100 loonies screaming at a wall because reasons. And I've reevaluated my earlier statement. There was actually a bunch of crap in that picture on the ground. Sorry.
The thing is, this is there was I think it was 15% of all the panels at GDC this year had to do with some sort of DEI initiative this year. The craziest one for me was about racial equity in games audio. It's like, what does that have to do with anything?
In games audio?
Yes, exactly.
Like audio engineering, or just the sound in a game? It's
yeah. Okay. It is as crazy as it sounds, man. It's a clown world that we're living in, and it's honestly up to shows like this, side scrollers, and the shows I mentioned earlier, to say, hey, man, like, that's not normal. Like, that's the biggest thing. Is the best thing we can do right now is point and laugh and take action. We can talk and laugh and all these things, and that goes back to take games back and why I launched that.
Make sure you're subscribed to Valiant Renegade and join us every Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern for the live show.